Are you ready for some haunted history? Imagine a candlelit campfire under a moonless sky, and I lean in to whisper, "Let me tell you about Bloody Mary." Not the tomato juice cocktail that one only promises a hangover, but the Bloody Mary who lurks in both history books and haunted mirrors. The name Bloody Mary has chased school children and courtiers alike through the centuries, part ghost story, part Tudor saga. As with any good campfire tale, there's some truth mixed in with the legend. So gather closer, because this is a story meant for the bravest among you. It starts with folklore. Picture a group of kids huddled in the dark, each gripping a candle as they stare into a mirror in a dimly lit bathroom. On the count of 3, someone chants Bloody Mary, maybe 3 times, maybe more, and like a pop out of a horror movie, the ghost is supposed to appear behind you. Some tales say she'll be pale and dripping blood. Others say she might scream or reach out to drag you in. It's the kind of pure horror movie stuff that would embarrass even a campfire storyteller, and yet here we are daring each other to try it. Now, as your slightly cynical narrator, imagine a historian with a dry wit. I should point out, this mirror ritual is basically a primitive party trick cloaked in superstition. Variants exist worldwide. Japanese kids have Hanako-san hiding in a restroom stall. The Dutch have Bloody Mary the whore, and on it goes. The unique twist here is just the name Mary. Mary was a common name, especially among royals and saints. So who is she? The ghost? Well, let's examine our Mary roster, because by sundown, someone's going to get answers. Let's start with the obvious suspect, Mary Tudor, Queen of England. She really did earn the nickname Bloody Mary. Born in 1516 to King Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon, Mary's life was born in drama. Henry, desperate for a son, divorced her mother, broke with Rome, and declared Mary illegitimate overnight. One moment she was heir to the throne. The next, she was a bastard princess in royal circles. She was even given the humiliating title Princess Dowager of Wales after her brother Arthur died, a title that wasn't fit for a little girl. This Catholic princess was essentially sidelined, even reduced to doing menial duties for her half-sister Anne Boleyn. Yes, the same queen who later lost her head. Mary refused to abandon her faith, secretly worshipping in hidden chapels. In her private letters, she clung to the idea of the true faith, advocating with the Spanish emperor on behalf of her mother and herself. She lived in a sort of royal witness protection, loved by her mother, but despised by her own father for her stubborn piety. As a teenager, Mary had to kneel and beg at court officials' feet just to get a few coins, a humble way for a future queen. Yet one sees the fire in her eyes early on. She was not a passive damsel, but a girl being trained by humiliation. When Henry finally died in 1547, things shifted again. Mary's half-brother, Edward VI, was crowned at age 9, and being thoroughly Protestant, he had no love for Mary's Catholic cause. Edward's advisors tried to bar Mary from the throne. He even named his young cousin Lady Jane Grey as heir on his deathbed. But the plan backfired spectacularly. In 1553, Edward died and Mary raised an army of supporters in the name of rightful succession. Within days, Lady Jane's 9 days as queen ended abruptly. Mary Tudor rode into London in triumph, all 37 years of her, to claim the crown. She was finally Queen of England, never mind that she was the first woman to rule in her own right, a fact ironically overshadowed by the nickname she'd soon earn. Mary wasted no time securing her reign. In 1554, she married Philip II of Spain, a political move to strengthen Catholic alliances. That marriage set off panic. Many Englishmen feared their island might become another Spanish province. Indeed, rumors spread that English laws would bow to the Spanish king. The opposition coalesced in Sir Thomas Wyatt's rebellion later that year, partly fanned by fears of foreign influence and partly by Protestant zeal. Mary crushed the revolt quickly. Roughly 100 conspirators were executed, and Wyatt himself was beheaded. One casualty of the uprising was Lady Jane Grey's father, and Jane herself would be executed too, an innocent victim of rebellion. Even Mary's own sister Elizabeth, the future Elizabeth I, was locked in the Tower for a time, accused of being complicit, though Elizabeth was soon pardoned. By the end of 1554, Mary was making it clear she meant business. The brief thrill of rebellion ended in spectacle. More than a dozen rebel leaders were put to death. One eyewitness noted Mary blamed herself for Wyatt's execution because he seemed so young. These scorched earth tactics set the tone for her reign. Then came the part that really earned her the bloody epithet. Mary was determined to restore Catholicism at any cost. She repealed Edward's Protestant laws, invited the Pope back to England, and resurrected the old heresy statutes that Henry VIII had just outlawed. In practice, this meant anyone caught preaching or practicing Protestant worship became a criminal under the law. Over the next few years, the Queen's government enforced these laws ruthlessly. Estimates vary, but roughly 280 to 300 men and women were burned at the stake for heresy during Mary's reign. These were not faceless peasants. They included some of the era's most prominent Protestants. Archbishop Thomas Cranmer, the man who annulled Mary's parents' marriage, was arrested, brutally forced to confess, then defiantly recanted as he stood on the stake. Bishop Hugh Latimer and Nicholas Ridley, known from school as the Oxford Martyrs, were tied to the stakes in Oxford and literally invited the flames, telling the crowd that we shall certainly meet in heaven, even as the flames consume them. The Marquess of Northampton, a former advisor to Edward, begged for mercy and was denied. In all, a veritable bonfire of English souls took place in public squares. Mary claimed she hated cruelty and that she did this out of duty to God. But whether sincerely pious or simply iron-handed, the result was the same. England had its worst spate of burning since the Middle Ages, and Mary Tudor was painted as a monster by her Protestant enemies. In fact, generations of Protestants never let Mary live it down. John Fox's famous Book of Martyrs, 1563, cast her as a butcher of heretics, complete with woodcut illustrations. Elizabeth I, her younger half-sister who took the throne in 1558, even joked at court that she had never executed a single soul and yet won more love from the people, implying Mary had plenty of blood on her hands for no good reason. By then, the name had stuck like tar on feathers. Mary herself reportedly despised the nickname. In private letters, she asked friends not to use it. But the damage was done. History remembers Mary I of England forever as Bloody Mary, the queen who fed flames. Mary's own story ended shortly after those flames. She watched England lose its last French possession, the town of Calais, in January 1558, a blow that reportedly crushed her. Legend has it, she tearfully said something like, "When I am dead, you shall find Philip and Calais lying in my heart." Whether or not she actually said this, it captures her heartbreak. That summer, Mary herself fell ill. She endured agonizing months. Some say cancer or ovarian tumors, others suggest a form of influenza. And on November 17th, 1558, Queen Mary I died at the age of 42. She was laid to rest in Westminster Abbey. Mary Tudor had burned hundreds to secure her vision of faith, and now she could neither condemn nor save anyone more. The new queen, Elizabeth I, quietly reversed Mary's religious changes. It's said that after their deaths, Elizabeth insisted Mary's coffin be placed beneath hers in the royal vault, perhaps a symbolic twit that she still stood above Mary even in the grave. So that's the real Mary. She's a strong candidate for Bloody Mary because she literally oversaw bloodshed. But does she explain the ghost game? Not exactly. Mary. I never haunted a bathroom in her life. She left that kingdom behind centuries ago. Instead, she gave the name Bloody Mary some genuine weight. The rest is clever folklore. Now, let's hop across time and space to another Mary, Mary Worth. According to an Appalachian or Ozark tale from the 1800s, Mary Worth, sometimes called Mary Worthington or even Mary Wales, was a grim old woman who lived in a remote cabin or farm. Townspeople whispered she dabbled in witchcraft and strange potions. Then one by one, children began to disappear from nearby farms. Superstitious neighbors blamed Mary. In panic, they stormed her home, dragged her out by her robes, and burned her at the stake, screaming that her evil had gone too far. As Mary's flesh sizzled, the legend says she cursed the villagers. "Speak my name 3 times in front of a mirror," she warned, "and I will return from the flames." That was the origin of the mirror ritual. Some versions add a grisly postscript. After the fire died, the terrified mob returned to find Mary's cabin filled with a cellar of dead bodies. The missing children, it seemed, sacrificed for her dark rejuvenation spells. Of course, none of this is historical fact. No records survive of a Mary Worth in the census or on any trial docket. But the tale caught on as a spooky campfire yarn. The concept was simple. Mary Worth's ghost was appeased only if her name was left alone. The way kids tell it, if you do say Bloody Mary in a mirror thrice, her ghost leaps out looking for revenge. That explains the mechanics of the dare. In other words, the mirror game itself is just a reenactment of Mary Worth's curse. With such a hook, Bloody Mary became part of children's lore. Kids even added variations: hold a broom, spin around, or say her name 13 times on Friday the 13th. All these rules just spice up the folklore. In some tellings, Mary Worth is replaced entirely by Mary Wales with an Irish brogue, or Bloody Mary Jane. But it's the same idea, a vengeful woman's spirit tied to a mirror. And so, the two Marys merge. If you chant her name enough times at midnight, your reflection might become an amalgam. The wistful queen who lost her destiny, and the hideous witch who plotted vengeance. Both stories share vengeance and fire, which is probably why they mingle. But critically, neither Mary actually hops out of your mirror in reality. No first-hand account from Tudor England says Bloody Mary appeared, and no Appalachian newspaper reported a mirror curse in the 1800s. It's all tall tales. Likely, Bloody Mary stuck because it's a striking phrase. Blood, a classic name, and just the right amount of alliteration. It helps to remember how our brains play with fear. At midnight, staring into a mirror with flickering candlelight, your imagination is running at full speed. You might see shadows wiggle or your own features contort in the dark. A bump in the pipes, heart skips a beat. In one version of the legend, children would turn around at the end of the chant to see nothing but their own shocked faces. The point of the game is the scare you get from yourself, not an actual demon. Rumors say occasionally someone fainted or scratched their eye from tripping or panic, and the legend grew as if Mary herself did it. If you keep digging, you'll find that Bloody Mary has hopped through pop culture too. The 1992 horror film Candyman, a clear riff on this, tells a similar mirror-summoning tale, but with 5 chants and a hook-handed ghost. There are songs, TV episodes, and even novels that drop the name as an incantation. In each case, the name evokes tradition. On any haunted Halloween attraction that involves mirrors, you'll bet they're sneering Bloody Mary into them, hoping for a scream. Meanwhile, in the real world, back in the mid-20th century, some typed up the legend in penny dreadfuls and children's magazines, cementing her ritual in detail. No candles in the mouth, lights off, no smiling, blah blah. Each family tweak only gave lore more layers. We haven't even mentioned our breakfast cocktail. Yes, there's a vodka and tomato juice Bloody Mary. That drink's origin is murky. Maybe it's named after Queen Mary, or maybe after a model or a Chicago bar called the Bucket of Blood. Whatever the truth, that Bloody Mary will not haunt you when you say it into the blender. The only thing it conjures is a pounding head the next morning. And let's face it, that's still a kind of curse. So, if you're brave enough to chant Bloody Mary in front of a mirror tonight, know this: you're not likely to awaken an ancient queen or a ghostly witch. What's more likely is a shock from your own reflection and laughter when the lights come back on. You've summoned a tale, not a spirit. Our ancestors invented stories to make sense of the unexplainable, and we still retell them for fun. Bloody Mary's real legacy might be that it shows us how stories evolve. Real history, local gossip, and teenage imagination all swirling into one scary cocktail. The only real stakes here are for roasting marshmallows. Stick to telling this story by firelight. After all, the only stakes in this tale are the ones on the campfire. Keep the bathroom lights on, my friends, and sweet dreams.